In here. Um, we'll give some people some time to sign in. But in the meantime, actually, how are things out in London right now? What's it like?
It's a very interesting time in the UK at the moment, particularly with our politics. We've got a new government in. We've got a socialist government in, and they've been in power for about 4 months. Um, and they've just whacked 40 billion pounds worth of taxes on business, which is probably about just under 60 billion, and which was just they when they won the election, they were said they were all for growth. We're going to go for growth. We're going to be the most successful um, country in the G7. We're going for business. We're going for growth, growth, growth. And they had a budget last week, and they put all these taxes up. So it's just mad. There's a petition going around now, and it's got 3 million people voted for a new election because they've already fed up with this government already. So
Really
it's very,
interesting.
very strange times in the UK at the moment. Really crazy times. I mean, listen, you probably say that in America as well, but I've just never seen anything like it with our politics.
Yeah, man, poor man. Yeah. Listen, this is
So yeah, so no, it's all it's interesting times, interesting times. Yeah. So you've got
Yeah,
Trump now,
yeah, we got Trump now. So the country's split in half right now.
is it? Yeah.
It seems that way. So, but I think from one day to the next, I didn't notice a difference, so I just got to keep focusing and doing what I got to do.
Yeah.
So,
Just create your own economy. That's what I say.
yeah, I think, for me, it's always been about investing in what I know, and what I
Yeah.
know is dentistry, and so I've chosen to invest in that. And I think we constantly just are looking to improve what we're doing.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that's been helpful for me. Is fortunately I'm very passionate. I enjoy what I'm doing, so it's easy to want to sit and learn more about it. Such as tonight.
Yeah. Well, it's when I was in I did this course in Mississippi. It was 3 months ago, and they're all. I mean, it's really strange. I mean, they were just all they're Trump through and through. It was. So we had dinner one night. There was me and there was about 8 doctors, and they said um, they said to me, so from the outside looking into America, what do you see? What do you see as a Brit looking into America? You know, and I turned around and I said, what us Brits are really curious about is you've got 360 million people, and the two politicians you end up with are Trump and Biden.
Sorry.
Yeah,
They
it
couldn't
was
stop.
interesting.
They couldn't. I was like, they just couldn't stop laughing. They were laughing like for 5 minutes. It was really strange, really strange. But yeah, yeah, it's all. Our politics are like yours. It's just really, really crazy at the moment. Really crazy. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah. So, but one of the things I don't understand is that it's interesting in the UK. If once a politician once they lose, they are literally they leave 10 Downing Street straight away, and the other guy goes in the next day. But in your country, there's like this 2 month gap, isn't there?
yeah. There's a little bit of a gap, yeah, between the election and actual transition.
Right. Why is that
Yeah,
then? Why is it like 2 month space? Do you know why that is, or
I have no idea.
is
I'm
that
sure
is that
somebody on this call knows, but I don't.
right? Is that Trump trying to organize what wallpaper and what carpets he wants in the White House and
Who knows? It's always been that way. It's always been,
yeah.
a few months before they transition.
Я начинаю работать. Что ты хочешь?
Um,
Yeah.
So,
So
well,
people
it's
are coming
five
through now.
one. I think what we should do here, Ashley, is maybe just give it a few more minutes, and
Yeah.
then we can get going. And this webinar will be recorded. So for those that are a little late to the party, we can always share the link with them after. But I was really excited to hear that, we had almost 100 people register for this. So that's pretty cool. Um, so we have Ben here on the call.
This one, I think it has.
So maybe in a couple minutes, Ben, you can get going here.
Yeah, we'll wait till for the few stragglers coming in and we'll get started.
What time do people
Thank you.
actually finish work? I mean, the practice that I worked with in Mississippi, they were finishing about 4:30. Is that what time people sort of finish in the States as well?
Yeah, I think 4:35. We're on the Pacific time right now. So on the East Coast, it's actually 8 p.m.
Yeah.
So, definitely there's people here on the East Coast that are joining us. So, in the United States, it seems like the Pacific Coast time is kind of what rules.
Is
You
it?
know,
That was my next question. What rules? The PT or Eastern time?
I mean, it seems like Pacific Standard Time, right? Is what it seems like. But I'm
Right.
on that side of the country, so.
Right.
But it's kind of challenging watching a football game at 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes when you're on the East Coast.
Hey,
you know?
Oh,
'Cause
right.
I've never seen a football game advertises Pacific time. It's always Eastern. So I don't know what you talk about, Art.
See, we got dogs that are really biased about. I bet
Hey,
there's someone here.
I'm Central, so
I'm
it's always
Central.
yeah. Don't say anything, Ben.
So what time does a football
Hey,
game
Dino,
start then?
They start the West Coast. They start at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
and which is
noon
great.
in Chicago,
Yeah,
and one
the
in
best
New
place to
York.
watch sports. Yeah, whatever, Dino. We need to permanently mute Dino from now on.
So Dina, where are you from? Are you from the Central Time then? Are you?
Yeah, Chicagoland area.
So what time is it there now? Is it 7, 6,
7:04.
7 o'clock? Okay, in the evening, right? Okay. So if you were to watch a football game, is it the Chicago Bears? Is it what your team is? What time would they
Yes.
actually kick off?
Noon.
Noon. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then if it's on TV, then someone from Pacific will be watching that at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Then is that how it works?
No, it's 10. Pacific will be 10 a.m.
Oh, 10 a.m. Sorry, yeah, they're
Yeah.
behind. Right. Okay. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Right.
but I think Pacific time rules. Wouldn't you say, Ben?
Again, watching sports. If you're a sports fan, living on the West Coast is the best because you get to wake up and watch football on Saturday and Sunday. So 9 a.m. on Saturday, the games start for college football, and Sunday they start at 10 a.m. So that's pretty awesome.
Wow. That's good. Good. We have the soccer, but our games start at all different times. It's normally 3 o'clock on a Saturday, but it could be 5 o'clock, it could be 2 o'clock, it could be Sunday night. It's all different times nowadays. It's all to do with TV. Yeah. Right.
All right, we're about ready to get started. Yeah, we're 5 minutes past due, so we can get rolling. Like I said, this is being recorded, so it's going to be rebroadcasted on our website and probably Ashley too on yours as well. But anyway, I do want to introduce Ashley Ladder here. He's obviously from the UK, as you can tell by his accent, and but he's trained over 36,000 dental professionals in over 16 countries throughout the world. And he's authored 3 books, but where we most align with him here at InstaRisa is training dentists to grow their practices and just deliver the ultimate patient experience. And so we have also on the panel here, Dr. Art Morales. He could talk a little bit more about his experience with Ashley, and excited about having both here to go over his presentation. So thank you both, and turn it over to you, Art.
All right. Well, Ashley is definitely the star of tonight's webinar, and I'm really, really excited to hear Ashley. The reason I reached out to Ashley several months ago is because at our courses, one of the primary highlights that we got feedback on was the things that we share to manage our practices, manage our patients. How do we get, patients at my practice to say yes? And I started to sense that there's a big need for helping dentists in those particular areas. And I started reflecting back on, some of the things that have helped me through my career to establish some of the guidelines and the systems that I have in my practice. And the one guy that kept popping in my head was Ashley Latter. And so Ashley, we took his course about 15 years ago in Chicago. And literally some of the things that I've shared at our courses and the things that we're still doing today are directly from the teachings of Ashley Latter. And one of the things that you're going to see is that Ashley really promotes ethical sales and ethical communication. And for me, I think there's always a right way and a wrong way of doing things. And I think the fact that we really kind of hung our hat over doing things the way that they should be done has really helped us grow our practice to what it is today. So I'm very, very honored that Ashley has accepted this invite to put on this webinar, and he'll be soon coming to the United States. I'll let Ben share more about that. But without further ado, Ashley, thank you so much for all that you've done for me in my practice and my career, and looking forward to this webinar.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So thank you so much for that really kind introduction there. And also, can I just say a big thank you as well, Ben, and thank you to you all as well for attending this webinar this evening. I have to tell you, this is a first for me to do a webinar at 1 a.m. in the morning. So please bear with me. I might not be quite as enthusiastic as I normally be. I was fast asleep on the couch about half an hour ago. So I'm halfway through my night, but I'm delighted to be here. And like I said, a big thank you for taking time out. And my goal in the next hour or so is to share some proven communication tips and ethical sales that will help you increase your case acceptance, have more patients saying yes in an ethical manner, so that you can deliver the dentistry that you've always dreamed of. So I'm going to do my best in 1 hour to give you as much advice and information as possible. And as Art said, we've got some really exciting news. I am actually going to be coming over to the States next year to deliver a program. So hopefully you'll be able to, we'll give you some information on that and hopefully be able to join us in real life. So just a quick agenda for today. I'm going to, as Art's been saying, for the last sort of 26 years, I've been working in the dental world. I've developed this 8 steps to a perfect consultation. And I am going to share what those steps actually are. We actually are going to go a little bit deep into a couple of them. So what I want to do is give you some tips and some strategies that you can instantly use tomorrow in your practices. And I'm also going to look at what I call a concept called the triangle of success, what it really takes to get more patients saying yes to your treatment plan. So just a bit background. I'll just tell you my backstory, and I'll only spend literally 3 minutes on this if this is okay. I'm actually not a dentist. I'm a business sales trainer, basically. My background is with the very world famous Dale Carnegie organization. So I used to deliver the Dale Carnegie courses in the UK here in Manchester in North England. And I was also an international master trainer for them. So I went around the world training trainers to become trainers. So for 10 years or so, I was visiting the States 4 or 5 times every single year. But 26 years ago, I was delivering a sales training course in my hometown of Manchester. And right at the bottom of the list was 2 dentists. And I was like, why are 2 dentists taking a sales course with me? And I met the dentist the night before, and what they both told me was they were great dentists. Clinically, they could place implants and crowns and do all the dentistry, but what they couldn't do was sell it. And what they couldn't do was discuss the fees. They were very, if a fee was, say, $1,000, they would reduce the fee in their head. And they would often give large treatment plans to patients and tell them to go home and think about it. And they were often taught very technical. So they took part in this sales course with me. And as they left on the second day, it was a 2-day program, I asked them how was it, and they put the thumbs up. But as dentists, they were quite reserved at the time. And I just said, would you mind if I give you a ring in a few weeks just to see how the course went? And a few weeks later, I was lying on my couch at home and I was wondering how those dentists got on. And I was like toying with the idea of not ringing them, or should I ring them? A bit like ringing a girl up for a date when I was 18. Should I or shouldn't I? But anyway, I picked the phone up, and basically the 2 phone calls changed my life, because both the dentists told me that their treatment plan accepted increased, more patients were saying yes, their books were full, they weren't discounting. But what Neil said to me was, for the first time ever, I'm delivering the dentistry I've always wanted to do, and particularly implants with Neil. He was a real, very keen on placing implants, and his numbers went through the roof. And Neil told his mates, and 6 months later, I delivered my first ever. We called it the Ethical Sales and Communication course. And imagine being in England 26 years ago, delivering a sales course for dentists. We had to use the word sales very small, and the word communication was very big. But we had 26 dentists, and they took part on the program. And I rang all 26 dentists up over a period of time, and everyone was saying the same. And the books were full. Dentists delivered, doing the treatment they've always wanted to do. And that's really how the journey started. From literally 2 dentists taking a sales course with me, I've now, for the last 26, 27 years now, solely delivered business and ethical communication training to the dental market. So I run my open courses so I deliver 3-4 days training every single week for 42 weeks of the year, and I've been all over the world in 16 different countries. Delivered about 25 courses in the USA. I was just saying to Art and Ben, I've just come back from Mississippi about 3 months ago, delivered a training course over there. And I've written 3 books. Most people know me for Don't Wait for the Tooth Fairy, How to Communicate Effectively and Create the Perfect Patient Journey. So I always say to people, do you think I'm glad I made those 2 phone calls? Because I was like umming and ahhing whether I should make them or not. But those 2 phone calls did change my life. And I always say to dentists, and I'm sure you've heard this before, that, if you made 5 to 10 minutes a day just to ring 3 patients up, and just to give them a call, Mrs. Jones, just seeing how you are, was a difficult procedure yesterday. And if you did that, 3 patients a day, 4 days a week, 12 patients a week, in a year, you'll speak to 500-600 patients. And the goodwill that it brings is phenomenal. I have dentists who do this, and they do this all over the world, all over the UK, and the feedback I get is just phenomenal. The number of referrals, the number of introductions that they get from just making these phone calls. So that's just a little bit about how I got here. Today as a business, I have 4 other instructors, and we deliver about 10 different programs throughout the UK. But like I said, I travel a lot. Just a little bit about me personally. People always ask me what I do when I'm not doing this. So I'm married to my wife. She's called Grace. She's Italian. I have 2 daughters, Enrica and Martina. 27 years, and people often ask me what's the secret, and I always say spending 90 nights a year in hotels does help sometimes. I've got 2 daughters, Martina and Enrica. Now Martina's training to become a dental technician, which is phenomenal, and Enrica is a treatment coordinator for a dental practice in Australia. I go to Australia every year to deliver the courses out there, and she's working for one of my clients as we speak. So both, it's in the family, it's in the blood now. And when I'm not doing this, I walk a lot and cycle. We're very fortunate to have the Lake District, which is just an hour away from the Manchester. So we have a big national park here. I took this picture this year, and I want to just share the story behind this picture, and it'll literally take you a minute. So this is I delivered a course in New Zealand in March this year, March and April, and we went walking, myself and my wife, and so this mountain's called Roy's Peak, and it's interesting today. I was looking at the mountains of California because I love walking, and I was just seeing what your mountains are like. But this is 1,600 meters. So it's a tough walk. It was a good 5 hours to get to the top this day. But this is at the 2/3 of the mark. This is the way. This mountain is where it's a famous ledge. So if you get to this ledge, people are queuing up and have their photographs taken, and they do daft poses like I do. And but that's actually not the top of the mountain. And what happens is many people, in fact, virtually everybody, walks to this ledge and then starts walking down again. And we carried on the walk. So we did another hour. I've got to tell you, it was brutal. It wasn't easy, but we got to the top, and that's the view at the top. And the reason why I share that picture with you is that we stayed at the top of the mountain for about 2 hours. Now, I've got a confession. I slept for about an hour of that. I was really tired. We both did. And we had lunch. During that time, there was only two other couples at the top of the mountain, and we stayed there and we chatted for an hour or so. And no one else joined us on that mountain. And the lesson I took away from that walk was that many people um, want to get to the top of the mountain, but are not willing to take the last mile is the reward, and people give up before they get to the top. But I always find that when you get to the top, the views are the best, and that was a real special day for me. So just a little bit what we do. What I do is a little bit different. It's very unique and very different. It's a very ethical sales. So it's not. I teach people how to sell without selling. And what happens is and I'm going to go through all those 8 steps with you this evening. But what it allows is dentists to really deliver the dentistry they've always wanted to do. And Andrew was one of the partners in Mississippi, and he loved the course. In fact, as a thank you, he took me shooting after, and I never seen a gun before, never mind shooting. So that was a great experience. Bill is the top implant dentist in the United Kingdom. His practice places more than any other in the UK, and Bill's taken 15 courses with me now, and actually helps me deliver them now. So he's one of my helps me deliver the courses together, and he uses my structure, and it works really well for him. Now, I want to just tell a little story about Mohsin. And so Mohsin's practice is 30 miles away from Manchester. It's a very working class town called Leeds. And if you went to Leeds, you would see that his practice is in a very working class part. And it's and when I speak to dentists a lot, I always hear dentists say, yeah, but my area is different. The people in my town can't afford implants. Well, if you went to where his practice was and saw where it was situated, you would not think he'd sell one implant. But this year, he's going to place 1,000 implants, his practice, 1,000 implants in a very working class part of Leeds. Now, he has got an amazing marketing system. He's got 8 treatment coordinators, but he's the #1 Straumann dentist now in the whole of the UK, and one of the top in Europe. He lectures for them a lot. So the point I want to make with just this story here is that there's so many opportunities about, and there's implant cases. I think there's so many cases with your existing client base. So let's talk about sales, and let's talk about ethical sales. So what is actual sales? Now, I'm lecturing, like I said, 3-4 days a week, 40 weeks of the year. When I go to a conference and I ask people, are they in sales? You typically get about 1/3 of the hands up. And everyone else's hands are like this. And really, it's probably because they've all heard the story of the bunny rabbit and the snake. I don't think you've heard this one, Art. So this is a new one. So the bunny rabbit bumps into the snake in the forest, and the bunny rabbit says to the snake, "Who are you?" And the bunny rabbit said, "Well, I'm blind, I can't see." And the snake said to the bunny rabbit, "Who are you?" And the snake said, "Well, I'm blind, I can't see either." So the snake said, "Well, why don't we touch each other today? And when we leave here, we'll know exactly what we are." So the snake starts touching the bunny rabbit, and he says, "Wow, you're all furry. You've got big bushy ears and a big bushy tail. I know what you are. You're a bunny rabbit." And the bunny rabbit's excited, he's hopping around. And then the bunny rabbit starts touching the snake. He says, "Wow, you're all slithery. You've got sharp fangs and beady eyes. I know what you are." And the snake said, "What am I?" He said, "You're a salesperson." Um, um, and so when you think of a salesperson, you often think of maybe somebody selling you a car, or maybe in the UK, people ringing you up at home selling insurance or car, gas or electric. But would you agree that we're all in sales? That every single person in your practice is in sales? And if you think about one of the things that I do, I go into practices every week. I go to one different practice throughout the whole of the UK every single week. Um, and I preach this, that the patient goes through and talks to or has the whole journey. Everyone's involved and everyone's as equal as everybody else. And I think the most important person is the receptionist, the person that answers the phone in your dental practice. That's the key most important person for me. I recorded and produced a reception course with my daughter only 6 months ago, and as a for part of the program, or for research, we made 103 mystery calls to dental practices during a 3-week period. And it was really the what we discovered was really incredible. It was just so poor out there. Only 5 people asked me a name, only a few people asked me any questions, and hardly anybody offered to make me an appointment. So in my opinion, the person that answers your phone in the UK, with this front of house receptionist, are the single major most important people. So I know there's some business owners here this evening, and well, this is for everybody. And I get this asked all the time: what type of people do you put on the desk? Well, in my opinion, you want to have somebody who's in professional sales, somebody who's been in a hospitality background, somebody who's really good with people. And I think the other thing, if I can give you one tip from this session, is take your phones off reception and answer them away from the reception desk. And the reason is, and I could talk about this for 4 or 5 hours, but the main reason is you've got patients ringing you up who are asking, how much is an implant, and can you give me some information? And if your receptionist is not trained, or are answering those questions at the reception desk whilst dealing with patients at the same time, they're going to do it badly. It's just not going to happen. It won't work well. So all my best clients answer the phones. They create call centers. They answer the phone away from the desk. But you really want to be getting someone from hospitality, sales background, and ideally you should be as well, if you can, do some mystery calls on your practice. Get somebody to do that for you. So,
Hey, Ashley, real quick interruption. Sorry. Since this is an interactive webinar, if somebody has questions, I just want to make sure we, feel free to ask, or, pause. Ashley, you can ask them if anybody has questions. Again, I want to make this interactive. And then at the end, one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning was we're going to provide CE credits at the end, as well as, like I said, we have a course coming up here that we're going to talk about in May in Clovis, California. So I just wanted to mention those 2 things real quick.
okay, good. So what is ethical sales? Well, I'm going to go through the 8 steps with you to a perfect consultation, and we'll go through those with you this evening. But it's really about doing 4 things extremely well. Now, the first one is building rapport with the right type of patient. Now, I know I come across this all the time. You do this for 10 minutes, you do that for 5, and this for 4. I'm just so against this rigid approach. Because the most important part of the ethical sales approach is building rapport. And building rapport builds trust. And when you build that trust, it's amazing what the patients will tell you in the consultation. So I'm going to share with you this evening the two best ways I know of building rapport. But you've got to build rapport. And the second one there is the right type of patient. And the right type of patient is someone who's genuinely interested in your services, who's genuinely interested in having a conversation about, if we're talking about implant treatment. Now, the second thing about ethical sales is asking questions. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars sitting in your database of patients. And all you need to do is ask questions. And I'm going to go into, like I said, I'm going to go a little bit deep into this evening, but I have a webinar every single week of dentists who have taken a courses with me, and we have follow-up. We did that today, actually, with a corporate today in the UK. And I asked them, you know, what's the main thing, what's working? And without a shadow of a doubt, every dentist says, I'm asking more questions and creating more opportunities with my existing patients. There are literally tons and tons of work with your existing patients. It's just about asking questions. So I'll teach you this evening how to ask questions. Now, the third thing is solving the problem in a language that the patient understands. Now, let me imagine that I'm a travel agent. And imagine that that you come to me and you want to go on holiday. And I say, well, where would you like to go? And you say, actually, we really don't care as long as it's got the 4 S's. And I say to you, so what are the 4 S's? And you say sea, sand, sun, and sangria. Okay, especially if you lived in Manchester, we want 4 S's. We want the sun, the sea, the sand, sangria. There's a good chance we might not see the sun now for a few more months. So that's what you want. Now that's called the destination. So that's called the destination. Now, if I was to stop you and say, look, guys, before I show you where you're going, your destination, I just want to give you a 15-minute presentation on the aeroplane to get you there. And let's imagine now I start showing you pictures of the plane and I start talking about the engine size and the combustion. I start talking about cylinders and how the engine's made and start talking about the wing capacity. Would you be interested? Well, the answer is obviously not. You just want to know where you're going. What's the destination? Well, here's what I've discovered with many, many thousands of dentists. Now, I've delivered 37,000 hours of communication training. No one else has delivered any more training than me anywhere. There's no one else that's got a history of what I taught during this time. And here's what, and it is a massive generalization because not everyone's like this. But what a lot of doctors talk about is the aeroplane. And patients are not interested in the aeroplane, they're interested in the destination. So once you find out what the patient's real problem is, what problem they're having with maybe having a space or with a loose denture, we're talking about implants, find out what that problem is and then solve the problem in a language that they understand. What they want to know is, how can I get to my destination? So that's really what ethical is about. It's about finding out problems and solving them. And then the last bit is what I call the commitment. It's the closing. It's when you go back to the patient and say, well, here's your problem. Here's the best solution for your problem. How does this sound? And hopefully what you get is a yes, and the patients are really keen to move forward. So in short, like I said, I spend 2 days, 18 hours covering 8 steps, and I'll go through those 8 steps with you. But really, a very shortened version of what ethical sales is about is really connecting, making that connection, finding out what their problems are, solving the problems in a language that they understand, and then saying to the patient, how does that sound? So what I'm going to teach you this evening in the next 30 minutes or so is how to sell without selling. And what I'll do is I'll make some time as well to answer some of your questions as well at the end. Okay, so What are patients interested in? The destination, not the aeroplane. Although I do accept that there is some part of the presentation where you do need to talk about the aeroplane, and I'll go through that with you tonight. So here's a little question. If I was to ask you to think of somebody who you know who's pretty good in sales, who got a good career in sales, it could be in any industry, doesn't matter what it is. And if I asked you to list what traits and skills and attitudes they had, what would you list? Well, here's a little list I prepared earlier. So basically, you need three main attributes to be successful in sales. Now, the first one is what I call the communication skills. So things like good at asking questions, really good at listening, good at overcoming price objections, can close. Obviously, that's important. Good at with people, good at discussing money, good at discussing the benefits of the treatments. Then you've got the attitudinal, things like positive, flexible, adaptable, positive thinking. And then the other side is what I call product knowledge. Now, I call this the triangle of success. So you need three sides to the triangle to be really good in a consultation: skills, communication skills, attitudinal, and the product knowledge. But in a consultation, 85 to 90% of your success will come down to how good your communication skills are and your attitude, and only 15% is applicable to the product knowledge. Now, let me make a point first. Your product knowledge is vital. It's at the bottom of the triangle. You need to know your stuff. You need to obviously know how to deliver the dentistry. You obviously need to be able to talk about it. So the product knowledge is crucial. But actually, in a consultation, only plays a very, very small part, because the main thing the patient will make the decision of whether they're going ahead or not is, do I like the dentist? Was it a great patient journey? Were they friendly? Did they build rapport with me? Did they ask really good questions? Did they really listen to what I was looking for? Were they positive? Did they have belief? Did I think they can really help me? And that's what a patient judges. They don't judge the certificates on the wall. What they judge is you, the person. And so 85 to 90% of your success is down to your skills and your attitude. But most dentists spend most of the time learning the product knowledge and spend very little time learning the communication side. And it's the communication side where you get your greatest return back. And like I said, I'm going to prove that to you this evening. So how do you get better? Well, you've got to develop all three. You've got to keep developing your product knowledge. You've got to keep learning the new ways of doing things all the time, and all digital dentistry and how exciting that is nowadays. You've got to keep learning the product knowledge, but actually, what you've got to also do is learn and develop your communication and your attitudinal traits as well. So let's look at attitude first. I'm just going to a couple of minutes on this, because if there's ever a nation that more positive anywhere in the world, it's you guys, the USA. But what's really important, and I'm currently writing a new book. It's the new. I'm going to call it the 8 Steps to a Perfect Consultation, and I'm actually nearly there. We've probably got another couple of chapters to go, and I'll probably finish the book. But one of the things I've really discovered of working in the dental industry for 27 years is the way you think is really important. The way I can give you and develop great communication skills, and I'm really good at it. And I think I'm one of the best at it. But how you think and what you say is really important. And here's some of the barriers to people's success. When they say things like, my area is different. People in Leeds, I talked about Mohsin before. He's going to him and his team will place 1,000 implants this year, and in a very working class. Well, you could go to another practice up the road and they'll say, well, my area is different. The people in Leeds don't buy implants. Our patients cannot afford it, or they think of the economy, it's the government's fault, or in the UK, we have the National Health Service. He's got all the best patients. I get all the poor ones. These are excuses. So how you think is really, really personal. If you decide that December is going to be quiet because it's Christmas, or January is always quiet because everyone's skint, you can guarantee that those will be quiet months. One of the other big mistakes I find dentists make is that they make assumptions about the patients and what they can and cannot afford. Well, if you make those assumptions in your head, then you will communicate completely different. So how you think and attitude is really, really important. So let's look now at the what I call the communication skills. Now, just before I do, I just want to share with you one quick story before I share this with you. Many years ago, my wife dragged me down to London to the theatre to see a performance, and it was called Billy Elliot. Now, Billy Elliot was a very famous film here in the UK. It was, and it became a musical. And this performance was on for about 15 years. And I have to be honest with you, musicals are not high on my agenda, but sometimes happy wife, happy life. So I took her down. We went 2 days in London. I went to this performance, and for 2.5 hours, it was absolutely brilliant. It was amazing, absolutely fantastic. And at the end of the audience was a standing ovation that lasted about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. And I don't mind saying this, there was a little bit of a tear going down my eye. It was very, very emotional. And I remember turning to the left and seeing the girl with the torch who took me to my seats. And I said, I can't believe I'm here on the best night ever. And she said, no, sir, it's like this every night. I said, it can't be. Sir, it's like this every night. I said, it can't be. How can they do this day in, day out? Surely they must get bored. And then she turned around and said something to me that changed my life. And she said, they don't get bored, sir, because before they go on stage, they have a huddle and they say, let's perform like it's the first night because this audience have never seen the act before. And when she said that, it just blew me away because I didn't think I delivered my courses like it was the first night, but I did from that moment onwards. So for the last 12 years, I deliver my courses like it's the first night because every time I show up, there's an audience that never seen the act before. And I want you to treat your consultations like the same. When a patient racks up and they're coming in to speak to you, they're coming in for a consultation, I want you to perform like it's the first night. And what I'd like you to do is this, is go into your practices tomorrow and do this exercise. And do it with your team. And I want you to write a letter to you, the doctor, as if you are a patient, with a problem that implant treatment can solve. And in the letter, I want you to describe a typical day in the life of that patient. What's it like? What's it like when they wake up in the morning? What's a typical day like? What's it like when they go and eat or meet people and then before they go to bed? Now write the letter and do it between you all, but go into detail. And when you've done that, read it out. And when you do that, you will see that when a patient comes to see you, they're not buying an implant, they're not buying teeth, they're not buying aeroplanes. What they're buying is something that can seriously change their life. You can make a massive difference. And your job in the consultation is to find out what's on their letter. And you do not discuss treatments or any proposal, anything at all, until you've found out what's on their letter. Because if you do that, you're doing the patient a disservice. You are selling without finding out what the patient's wants and needs are. So write a letter, do it, and then speak it out and see the emotion on your team as they read those letters out. And in the consultation, your job is to find out what's on that letter. And if you talk about treatments before finding out what's on their letter, for me, it's malpractice. And I hear lots of different people saying, well, you can only do this for 10 minutes. No. You wait and find out what's on their letter. And if you do that, you will win and secure more treatment plans acceptance. It's the biggest thing. Okay, so hope we're going so far so good. So here's the 8 steps that I cover on the 2-day ethical sales and communication course. It's an 18-hour program, and these are the 8 steps that we follow religiously. So it starts off with preparation and building rapport. Then we ask questions. We find out what's on their letter. Once you've done that, you do the examinations, and then you go back with your solutions, where you address the problems on the patient's letter. You don't, not talking about aeroplanes, not talking any technical, you're selling the benefits of what you can do for the patient. You're showing different types of evidence. You're showing video testimonials, pictures, before and afters, digital, all the equipment that you've got now at your disposal. That's when you discuss the fee. You don't discuss the fees until you've done these steps here. Because if you do these steps here, your treatment becomes really, really great value. Patients will see that your treatment is really cheap. It's great value. Now, occasionally you get price objections. There's 5 different money objections. The big one in the UK now is I can get it cheaper in Turkey. I know you've got your countries at Mexico or different places now though, where that's a problem. And also I know you have the health only covers so much. You've got to overcome the client's objections. And we teach you how to do that. And then it's the closing. And then of course once you've closed and got that, you've got consent. And if you do that really well, you follow up with the patient, you get referrals, and you start the whole thing over again. But the most important step for me is the building of rapport. And here's the 2 best ways I know of building rapport. And the first one is to become genuinely interested in your patient. Now, if your receptionist, your front of house person has done an amazing job with your patients, then hopefully they would have got 5 to 6 pieces of information about the patient. Now, on our reception course, we get this, we ask the receptionists to put 5, they have a sheet to fill it in, and they got to get 5 to 6 pieces of information. Now, ideally, you want to have a group huddle in the morning. You share that information with the doctors or the treatment coordinators, and now the doctor's got information that he can or she can use in the consultation to build that rapport. And you become genuinely interested. You don't put the patient on the chair, you just have a chat. So this reminds me of one of my favorite stories on rapport building, and it was a dentist called Simon. Simon Belford is a dentist. He's based in London, just outside London. And he had a patient that visited his practice, made an inquiry, sorry, and by email, and emails were going back and forth, and eventually an appointment was made at 8:30 on the Monday. The night before, Simon was getting ready. He sees that the guy's a professional speaker. He does what I do. And he looks at the guy's website because he's got an interest in becoming a speaker as well. He places implants and he does a lot of lecturing. And the next morning, the patient walks in and Simon greets him. And the first thing he says to the patient is, I hope you don't mind me saying so, but what a great speaker you are. I was looking for your website and it's a thing that I've really wanted to develop. I'm a speaker myself. How did you get involved in this? Now, when I share this story, for the people that are under 30 on my course, they say the word stalker, but anyone over 30 goes, wow. Because the patient signed up to a treatment plan that was into £20,000, which is close on $30,000 within 1 hour. And what did Simon do well? Well, he was just genuinely interested in his patients. And when you are genuinely interested in your patients and you can give compliments to your patients, then they will buy treatment from you. It builds trust. So the big 2 secrets for me are becoming genuinely interested. And if you can do it sincerely, compliment the patient for anything that they may have done or anything that you know about the patient, then you are going to win through. So just those small little hitches make a real difference. The second thing in the steps is the asking of questions. Now, one of the biggest mistakes dentists and doctors make is they sell treatment without truly finding out what's on the patient's letter. And asking questions is the most important skill after building rapport. And I think dentists don't do this really well. They talk about treatments, but they don't really truly find out what the patient's wants and needs are. And because of this, you're missing out on thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of opportunities. How many times have you ever made an assumption about a patient about what they can and cannot afford? So what are the advantages of asking questions? Well, there's many, many, many. The first is it builds rapport. It makes a connection. The second thing is it creates opportunities. If you were to ask your patients, is there anything at all that you'd like to change or improve about your smile? During the day, some patients will come back and say, I don't like this, I don't like that. And we hear it all the time. And we hear doctors who ask those questions, and the patients give the dentist a shopping list of things they want to change. And when the doctor turns around and said, how come you never told me this before? The patient said, you never asked. So it creates lots and lots of opportunities. But the most important thing is it connects and makes it easier to present solutions back to the patients. So as a thank you for coming on this webinar this evening, because you could be going home and spending time with family, let me just share with you. On my 2-day course, we spend 4 to 5 hours on this. And we go very, very deep into the questions and the emotional reasons of how patients buy treatments and different questions that you ask. But if you followed this little structure, and dentists love structures, this will work really well for you. So if you're having an implant consultation, let's say the patient's got a denture. I'm just using this as an example. Then you find out what the patient doesn't like about their current situation. You ask them what their desired situation is, what they'd like to achieve if they could. And then you ask them more questions about the problem. Why now? How long have you been thinking about it for? What problems does your existing situation cause you? And you go deep into that, because the more questions you ask about the problem, the more the patient will become interested in your solution. Now, I think on the courses, one of my clients said to me the other week, there's 36 different game changers on your programs. For him, it was 36. For other people, it might be a different number. But this is one game changer. And I'm going to give you it now as a thank you. Once you've asked questions, if you just stop and say to the patient, do you mind if I just summarize what you just told me? And you play back to the patient in their own words what they told you, you will be surprised at what happens. And the patients nod, they get emotional, and it shows that you've really listened and really cared. And summarizing is a game changer. And if you could practice that, it really is. And we practice that really hard on the course, because if you can summarize and listen attentively and find out, then you win all the time. I promise. I had a dentist who took a course with me 3 months ago, and he rang me up and told me this story that he was placing a patient, a lady patient came in for an implant consultation. And he asked all my questions. He put everything I taught him on the 2 days. And at the end, the lady patient started to cry. And when the dentist said, I'm really sorry, what's happened? He says, well, because I've told you things today that I've never even told my husband. And that's what you want the patients to say. I've told you things today that I've never told my husband, because you were genuinely interested. So summarizing really does work. So what I want to get a conclusion to you here, we've been going 50 minutes now, is selling is not telling, it's asking. And the better rapport you have, the more questions you ask, the easier it is to increase your case acceptance. There's lots of other things. You've got to be able to close, you've got to discuss the money, you've got to overcome the objections. But if you can just do one of those 2 steps, some of those steps that I've taught you this evening really well, then it will help you with your case acceptance. And sometimes you can't put a time limit on that. And that's just so true. Patients want to feel understood. They don't want to try and understand you. So I hope this has really been useful, but I want to share this one slide with you. And I'd like you to, if you can, read this slide, because this was taken from a website from an American a dental practice based in the USA. And this was on their website. And this is on their website page, by the way. So please read that one. You really could not make this up. This was actually on the website. So what's wrong with this? It's all about the aeroplane. But, you know, do patients really want to know on your website incision, osseointegration, sutured, healing, blood? I mean, it just goes on and on. And if you think that's as bad, wait till you see another one I took from another practice in the States as well. This is another one that I've copied and pasted, and this is on their website as well. A different practice that I work with. By the way, I've got their permission to use this. This is on their website. So can I make a suggestion? When you leave this course tonight, go home and just have a look at what is on your website, because you actually could be turning them off before they even come on your website. So I just want to share that with you, because this is putting people off. People are visiting your sites and actually getting turned off. They're not making inquiries because they're reading some of this stuff, and it's putting them off. They don't want to hear this. So you've got to talk about the destination and not too much about the aeroplane. And there is a place where you've got to talk about consent and everything else. But the easiest analogy I can share with you is, let's get the patient excited about what we can do, and then we can talk about the planes. So I hope in this hour, it's going 55 minutes, you've got some useful tips. I hope you've got, I'd like to always trying to give as much gems as possible. I know people say to me sometimes I give too much away, but I wanted to give you some real gems this evening. I hope you found what we've done useful. I just want to talk about this just for 5 minutes or so, and I think Art and Ben have got a couple of things they want to say, and then I'll answer any questions you've got. I'm up now. I can't see me going back to sleep for a bit yet, so I'm up. But Art's asked me if I'd be interested in coming over to deliver a 2-day ethical sales communication course. So we've penciled these dates in. So we're going to come across on the 2nd and 3rd of May 2025. We've got 40 places, I believe. We're going to be doing it at the in Clovis in California. I'll go through the 2 days with you, what we're going to be covering, and then you can see for yourself. So it's going to be 2 full days. You're looking at 16 to 18 hours. The first day we're going to be focusing on the building of rapport, and we go really deep into those questions, what questions to ask, how we do this, the structure in more detail. And in the afternoon, we're going to look at how to sell the treatment, how to present the solution, how to present it so it gets patients excited. We're going to look at what dissuades patients, what we shouldn't say, what we should say. And I'll be covering things like using the digital video testimonials and all these other things as well. Day 2 is all about the money. So we're going to be looking at how to overcome price objections, how to discuss fees with confidence. There's 5 to 6 different price objections. We'll show you how to overcome each one of those, and the closing, etc., etc., etc. So it's 2 very full days. And what we do is very different. So I'm going to give you the material. You'll hear examples. So Art is going to be my guinea pig. He doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to come beforehand, and we'll do some coaching with Art. Art will give examples of all the material, and then you'll practice, and then I'll coach every single one of you on the course. So it's very, very hands-on, fun, motivational, and we have a really good time. You'll be crying and laughing at the same time as learning. So we're doing the program. It's a 2-day course. Now, Mark doesn't know this yet, but I was putting some slides together. So I'm looking to come over for my holiday as well at the same time. So this is what we're doing. The fee normally would be 3,395 to do the course, but we're doing a very early bird special. So it's 2,645 if you are keen to do the program. And we want you to bring as many of your team members as possible, because the more of your team you bring, the more you get everyone singing off the same hymn sheet. So we've lowered the price at 750 just for team members, because like I said, if you get everybody coming and they're singing off the same hymn sheet, it's brilliant. And team members love it. We have such a great time. Now, the 2-day program, and I don't do this in England. So if you went to my website, you will not see this. I'm only doing this to add value for the business, and to encourage you and to really make a difference. So in January, I'm running a very special course, a 2-day ethical sales with Bill Schaefer, the other implantologist in the UK. But the week before, I'm recording. I'm delivering a 3-hour webinar on marketing for implants. Now I'm going to record that. It's going to be something like 7 till 9:30 ish in the UK time. So I accept it's going to be during your working day, but I'm going to record that, and that's all the strategies I know of how to market and get more implants. So I'm going to record that and give you that as well. So if you join the course, I'm going to give you that marketing video program as well. So you get to keep that. I'm also, once you've joined this course, so if you decide that this is for me and I really want to do this program, I'm actually going to give you my 2-day ethical sales course as an online program. So that's a 6-hour program. It's got all the eight sessions. It's me delivering the course. You can take it now before you even come on the program. So my goal is for you to make the money back and more before you even take it. So we're going to give you that. I'm going to give you that completely free as well. I spent 2 weeks in a studio recording that. So a lot of hard graft went into that. So I'm going to give you that as well. Now, one of the things that Art and Ben told me in researching for this is that the front of house and how important it is and how they deal with new inquiries. So 6 months ago, I went to the studios and I recorded my front of house, how to take inquiries and turn them into appointments program. So again, that's a 2.5-hour program. It's me and my daughter. We go through all the steps of how to take inquiries and turn them into appointments. And that as well. So I'm going to give you those 2 programs with the manuals and the scripts and the telephone answering sheet. You're going to get all those as well as everything. So as soon as you join this, I'm sending that to you straight away. And I'll make myself available if you've got any questions on that at all. But all being well, you'll make your money back and more before you even take it. And I also have a 3,000 square foot building here in Manchester, probably a little cute centre. So if you ever want to visit me in Manchester, the greatest city on earth, and have a good time, then you can come back and take my 2-day course again with me, free of charge. You just need to come to Manchester in England, and I'll take you up to the Lake District. There you go. So if you are interested, the link is, I'm going to send you a link by email. You can join the course, and I'm coming on the 2nd and 3rd of May. And like I said, we're going to teach you everything that we know about how to hear a yes in a very, very ethical manner. So I will send you an email. Oh, there's a coupon there. So if you use the word InstaRisa, there's a coupon there. You get $750 off the website. But I'll put all that in an email to you. But if you use that coupon, use the name there on my website. You'll get that $750 discount. So your fee is only $2,645, and you get all those other programs as well. I've never done this before. I'm doing it here. So two last slides I'd like to share with you. As I said before, I'm a very keen walker. I don't play golf. I just think golf spoils a good walk. But I dug out some stats, and in 2018, Dustin Johnson earned $9.6 million playing golf, and Jason Korat earned 1.9 million. He was number 50 in the world. And now they play hundreds of rounds of golf and 18 holes in a round, and the difference was just 1.4 shots. That's the only difference in the whole, if you add all the shots up over the year. And the reason why I share that slide with you is that small hinges open big doors. And if you just put into practice some of the things I teach you on the course that I'm going to go through with you, it can make you some serious money, serious wealth. As Art said, he's using my program 14, 15 years later, and it will work for you as well. So that's that. Now, the last slide, I'm going to see if you can recognize the problem that this guy has. See if you can guess. Have you worked it out? Probably not. Okay. So as you can see, on March the 22nd, I met this guy at Manchester Airport. I'd just come in from Australia. I delivered the courses out there, and I was really tired. And this guy stood next to me, and I thought it was a mirage. And I touched him, and he's definitely a real person. So this guy was emigrating to Manchester. But what you probably don't know, he's got a Manchester United shirt on and a Manchester City top head. And he's got a hat. So he's got a souvenir. He's wearing a souvenir of both the football teams in Manchester. And I sat with this guy and I said, you just don't do that. You just do not wear a City hat with a United shirt. It's just the most ridiculous thing. And I said to this guy, I said, do you want a course on decision making? Well, he started laughing, but this is what I find in life. I find that some people just struggle to make a decision. And I said to this guy, if you leave Manchester Airport, you're likely to get murdered. So just choose one of them. Keep the United top on and throw the City one away. But I said, and I always find in life that some people really struggle making a decision. But I hope you do make a decision to join me
Really about the thing
in
that you do
California,
regularly
because
is really controlling
we
what
are
is.
going to have a great 2 days, and you will leave with a structure for your consultations that you'll use hopefully for the rest of your life. So I've been going, I think, Art and Ben, exactly 1 hour. That's not bad. I've done it all in 1 hour. So that's me. I'm looking at the chat box. I think there's, I don't know. I'm gonna look now. Yes. So has anybody got any questions?
Yeah, we got a question by Dr. Brockloff in the chat group. Brock, if you want to just read it out loud, you can chime in.
Sure, Ashley. I was just curious what's your opinion of companies like ClearChoice who use auxiliaries to do a lot of the sales part of the procedure and then kind of bring the doctors in to do the actual closing of the case.
Okay, so I don't know who ClearChoice are. Is that a corporate?
Yeah, it's a pretty big corporate.
Yeah. Okay. So
Certainly the biggest one in the United States.
yeah. Okay. How many practices have ClearChoice got? Offices?
I think it's about 120, and they're due about $1 billion a year now.
Yeah. It's interesting. What's really interesting is in the UK, the two biggest corporates now, or there's three big corporates. There's My Dentist, Bupa, and another one called Portman, and they've both got about 500 to 600 each. So these are big players. I've worked with them all. Here's my view on this. Okay. If you went to Mosin's practice in Leeds, they've got 8 treatment coordinators. Now, those 8 treatment coordinators, I've trained them all inside out. They are like incredible human beings, right? So what they do is they will actually deal with the new inquiries on the phone. They will chase up the leads they've got as well. They do quite a lot of marketing. They get lots of referrals, and then they see the patients and do the consultation at the start, and then they bring them in with Mohsin, and he does all the clinical bit. He does all the talking about the treatments, and then patients go ahead and they pass them on to the treatment coordinator, and they sort out all the finance, any packages that needs to be involved, and everything else. So it's done like clockwork. It is the most incredible patient journey you can imagine. And they have group huddles in the morning, and it works great. Now, if you went to Bill Schaefer's practice down in London, Bill does all the consultations himself. So he does everything from start to finish. He builds that rapport. He asks all the questions. He uses my stuff from start to finish. And then he passes the patient on when they're going ahead. And then to a treatment coordinator who does all the paperwork and everything else. So I think it's a good idea, and it does save some of the doctor's time as well. But it's how you work it, and it's 2 different practices using 2 different ways, and both are equally very, very, very successful. But I think, yeah, I think it's a good idea. But you've got to these I say ladies because most of the time they are, but they've got to be really well trained in the ethical sales as the doctor, and everyone's singing off the same hymn sheet. But yeah, it can work really, really well. My daughter does that she works for a practice called Sydney Dental Spa, and she does that role within that practice in Sydney, and they're brilliant. And that they are the leading Invisalign providers in the UK, in Australia. They do a lot of implants as well, but she does a lot of the consultations for the dentist, and it works really, really well. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes, you did. It was good. Thanks.
Oh, by the way, can I just say one thing? Of those 2 websites that I showed you, I rewrote those websites. So I rewrote them, and I'm going to give you both. I'm going to give you the copies of that on the course as well. And what I'll do is, Art, and again, Ben, I've not told you this. I will go through 3 or 4 of my clients in the UK. I'll show you their websites. I'll go through it with you, and I'll give you the copy, and you can just copy and paste what these guys are doing, and it will work like clockwork in the USA. These guys are really, really on the ball, and they've used my wording. So I'm going to give you that as part of the program as well. So I'll go through that with you all on day 1 of the course.
Great. I'm
Thank you,
gonna
Ashley.
post the link to sign up in the group
All
chat
right.
right now.
Oh yeah.
So
Well done. Hiawat Brook, City United. You got it. Marco Camel, choose Liverpool. Do you know Marco Camel, Art?
Yes, we're great friends. Marco Kamel.
Right. He's not allowed to do the course
Why is that?
because he supports Liverpool.
Oh. Um, well, Ashley, listen, you surprised us, and so thank you for a lot of those extra added value things that you're offering at the course. I will tell you that just listening to this webinar with your 8 steps, there's a few things that have gone by the wayside that we're not doing that I feel like we need to implement and do. And my entire team is going to be at the course. Because I think it's important. I mean, we're going to be shutting down the office a couple of days that week just so that we can spend, Friday and Saturday with you. But the key to what I'm seeing is that there's a lack of constant implementation, right, and revisiting. And I think that's what happens is that we get comfortable. Today, I just had a call with my marketing guru, and we realized that last month we had 336 missed calls. That's a lot of calls that have been missed. And if you don't review these things on a monthly basis, right? It doesn't matter how much money you throw at marketing. If you don't have the internal side, what you call the front of the house, the front of the house working, then it's you're setting yourself up for failure. So, thank you for sharing some of these tips that I think we can definitely implement immediately, tomorrow in terms of how to ask and what to ask patients to build rapport. And the key is to listen, right? I think sometimes we're so quick to start yapping versus listening. So do you find that the case that dentists talk too much?
It is, and it goes back to do you remember the song by the Spice Girls? What do you really, really, really want? And it's really when a patient comes in for an implant, they're into an implant, it's really finding out what their problem is at this moment. And you got to, and it's like the exercise with the letter is find out what would be on their imaginary letter. And you've got to get the patient to verbal it. And once you get the patient verbalizing that, then the rest of the process becomes a lot easier because you get less objections to price. The patients value the treatment more. They see the need to do something. And that's why I always say there's just so many opportunities all the time with existing patients. I've had dentists who have left my course and gone back and spoke to all the patients that have got dentures. And some of the dentures that are made in the UK, if you're under the National Health Service, have been very poor and they ill fit. And all of a sudden, patients are telling them what they're not happy with, and they're listening attentively. And then they say to patients, would you be interested in having something that's fixed, a fixed solution like an implant, doesn't move, it fits better, it allows you to eat. And all of a sudden, patients are saying, yeah, I'd love to know that. I didn't know you did them. They always say this. I didn't know you placed them here. I didn't know you do that. I didn't know it was available. So there's just so many opportunities, but it really is absolutely. And I coach the dentists. I sit there and watch them on the courses, and practice the summarizing. It changes their lives. It really does, and you change patients' lives. That's the beauty. You change patients' lives. You see the difference you can make. And we teach dentists bring the patients back 3 months after treatment and sit down with them and video them and get a video testimonial. They'll tell you the difference it makes. And then you've got videos, you can use them for your marketing, for your website. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. So there's just, for me, there's just opportunities everywhere. And it's just, these skills change lives. And that's why I still do it. That's why I'm up at 2:15 in the morning here, because hopefully we can make something happen in California. So, yeah. I think we've got 3 more messages. Oh, Ben, you put that on. Is there a way to get this recording between watching my toddler? Yeah, we've recorded this. So JR, I will send it to you. How can we come over the holiday season? What can we say to make things? Sorry, Diana, I'll ask you a question. How can we overcome the holiday season? What can we say to make things easier for case acceptance? Just what do you mean, Diana? Just explain that in a bit more detail. Do you know what that might be, Art?
The way I interpret that question is, right now, November and December is a holiday season, and a lot of patients will say, hey, I'm not ready to proceed because, I have Christmas gifts to buy. I have things that I need to do. So I think the question is, what can we do, or what can we say to these patients to help them move forward with their dental treatment?
So we're having a conversation, and you're interested in having this treatment. Is that correct?
Yes, you know, I'm very interested, but I'm a little challenged because, you know, I only have so much money to pay for this actually.
Okay, so having a concern about the fees, perfectly normal. But is it something that you'd like to go ahead with? Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I think just trying to figure out how to pay for this is my biggest obstacle at the moment.
Right, okay. And besides the fee, or do you have any other concerns at all about the treatment?
Um, yeah, I'm a little nervous about it, you know.
Okay. Can I ask you some more questions about that, Art?
Sure.
Right, quit a bit time out. The money's not the real objection here. It's the nervousness.
Yeah, I think it plays a role, to be honest
It
with you, but
is. Well, no, I'm telling you, it actually is. In real
Mhm.
life, if you get a second objection, which is nervousness, and the first one was money, the actual real objection is the nervousness. So I would ask you more questions about nervous. Do you mind me asking, Art, what is it in particular that you're actually nervous about with regards to the treatment? Oh, by the way, you're not the first person to say that. We hear it all the time. What is it you're actually nervous about?
well, I mean, out in a day, you know, I'm nervous about the bleeding. I'm nervous about possible infection. You know, how am I going to feel for the next week or two? You know,
Right.
and then how is that going to affect me not being able to go to work?
Okay, so am I right in saying you're really concerned about going to work after the treatment and being able to perform at work effectively? Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, time out. What's the real issue?
Fear.
It's can I go back to work straight after having the treatment?
Mhm.
Now, Bill, Bill's got a great line with that when he turns around and says, what, 98% of patients, you know, they have a little nap after the treatment, they go in the room of recovery, and some people even go back to work. I mean, you can explain this, but actually, in this instance, the real objection in this case is not the money. It might be an issue, but the real issue here is the patient scared about the treatment. It's the fear. And what you need to do is explain, find out what it is that they're fearful about, overcome that. And the best way to overcome the money objection, the other money concern is a payment plan. Look, the benefit we can stop. We've got a payment plan. You can spread the payments over 12 months. It's going to be interest free, but the major benefit is we can get you to start the treatment more or less straight away. Does that work for you? Now, you're not going to overcome every objection, but hopefully you would overcome this one. But the real concern is um, is the um, is the fear. It's not the money. In this instant, in our example here. But in this instance, Dan, I'm trying to interpret what your email, what your message says here. But I think the objection, the way to overcome that would be a payment plan, a possible payment plan. The other thing I would say, Dinah, is it all depends. If the patient's coming to see you about the treatment and they have an interest in it, well, then they've probably worked the money thing out already. If
Right.
it's something that you have brought up and you're discussing a treatment, and the objection is the holiday season, then maybe you could reschedule the patient for the new year and give them a treatment plan where they can maybe spread the payments over a series of months. That might be the way of overcoming that one. But
Yeah, and that's a great point. Actually, one of the things that we do at our practice, and you taught us this was, you know, let's try to get the patient to put some type of money down, some type of commitment, and that way, you know, we can maybe start in February. You know? But at least it gets them to a point where they're committed. Because one of the
yeah,
things that that our treatment coordinators are really great at is, you know, maybe right now they can't, you know, pay X amount of dollars, but what could they do to reserve their spot? Because Dr. Morales is booked out for a month or two anyways.
correct.
So it would be challenging for us to get in in December regardless, but there's some
Yeah.
workup that needs to be taken care of in advance. So
Yeah.
those are some of the things that we found to be beneficial that you taught us.
Yeah, and it's also how the patient perceives you as well. So
Mhm.
on the course, and this is brand new material, art. You've never seen this before, but a lot of the stuff I'm going to teach you is what happens before the patient even comes for the consultation, because you want them to come in to see you, and you're perceived as the expert, as someone who's top of the game, and that's hard to get an appointment with. So we're going to do a lot of that stuff on the course beforehand. What can you do once the patient's made the appointment before they come in to see you? And there's some stuff that we'll share with you that's brand new material. You've never seen this before. It's moved on a lot, obviously, for 14 years. But we'll do a lot of stuff on that so that you won't get these small objections.
Yeah, and one thing that's great that I find with your course, actually, is that you do a lot of role playing, and that's why we encourage doctors to not come alone. Bring your team members, because the role playing is something that is really beneficial to practice and regurgitate some of these, because it's pretty standardized objections that we get. So as long as we have the rebuttals prepared in advance, then it's an easier way to get the patient to overcome. So
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just had one of our doctors just hit me up via text, and he's just signed up for the course, but he's trying to register his 2 assistants. So actually,
Yeah.
I think we could
Yeah,
figure that out.
yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you all an email now when we finish. All you need to do is, once you've registered yourself, just send me an email back to say, can you register Janice or John or whatever? Let me know how many team members are coming, and then we'll send you a separate link to make that payment. I'll get my team to do it in the next 48 hours. So if you just, I am going to drop you all an email. I've got everything I've confirmed this evening is going to be in the email. I'm going to send what I'm going to do is once we've finished this, the email will go off. The recordings, it takes about 15-20 minutes for the recordings to finish. To be honest, I'm probably going to go to bed now, if that's okay. But I will send the recordings to you all in about 6-7 hours time. And in the email, there will be, like I said, a separate, just drop me an email. Let me know you're bringing 2 team members, and then we'll sort that out for you. There's no place on my website to add the team members. We've just done this. To be honest, the truth be known, we've been flying at the seat of our pants with all this. It's been difficult because art is 8 hours difference with me, and my schedule's been horrendous recently. I've been all over Europe on hot courses and stuff. So we have been honestly flying at the seat of our pants. But everything I've just said this evening is going to be in that email.
Yeah, and I want to express to you guys that we just opened up registration on purpose, because we want to make sure that there's only going to be about 40 seats. We're going to this course, by the way, is going to be here in Clovis, California, at our new center. We could accommodate probably 40, possibly 50 people. So definitely want to encourage you guys to bring your leads at the bare minimum, to really take advantage of this course. The last thing you want to do is learn all this stuff and try to regurgitate it back at home with your team. So once you register, then a lot of this information is able to have access.
So as soon as you register for the course, my team will send you both online courses straight away. Yes. And I'll send you the manuals and everything as well. You'll get everything sent to you by email. Now, I'll be telling you now, your team will love the videos. And I mean this. I'm not biased, but they are brilliant. They're really, really good. And get your team watching it. They love the English accent, and that helps. But honestly, the material in there is brilliant. And I'll send you the manuals with the scripts in, everything. The telephone answering sheet is brilliant. You just get them to fill it in when they make a new appointment. You have a chat in the morning. This is the patient coming in. you've got all this information. You can build amazing rapport with the patient. Honestly, it works like clockwork. So yeah, as soon as you've enrolled, my team will be sending this to you. Now, Enrica's work, she's sending all my stuff out. She's in Australia time, so bear with me, but we'll get it out to you in 24, 48 hours, and you get the both programs straight away. We'll send that to you straight away. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hey, our Dr. J's
If
asking.
Art's team is
Dr.
attending, does that mean there's only 2 or 3 seats
Yeah.
left? I said to Art, I've not seen Art's room, but we do a lot of practice on the program. So I said to Art, we need to make sure that there's space so people can move around and practice. We do have a lot of fun. I've been doing it for. I am a bit different. I am a bit unique and a bit different. And if you allow me to be myself, um, we will have a lot of fun. I promise you, we'll be having such a good time on the program, and we have competitions and stuff like that. And we're going to have we'll probably go out for some dinner as well, won't we? Celebrate
for sure.
as well. So
For sure.
we'll do that as well. Once we're actually on, training videos will be sent to you straight away.
Yeah. Well, Ashley, we're looking forward to May. I know it's the only planned trip you have to the US, unless this goes really, really well. Then I think we can probably convince you to come back. So we're looking forward to this. Thank you, everybody, for joining tonight. If you have any other questions, please just reach out to us at InstaRisa or to Ashley directly via the email that he's going to send. So is there anything else you want to add, Ben?
No, that's it. Reach out to me too, guys. If anybody has any questions or, yeah, you know how to contact me.
And
Ben
me
at
as well.
instrisa.com. Yeah. Sounds
If you've
good.
got any questions about the course, any concerns, reach out. And if you want, providing we can do it at a suitable time, I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call and answer any questions that you've got. I am delivering lots of programs, but it is easing off a little bit in the next couple of weeks. So more than happy. If you've got any questions, concerns, just drop me a message, and I'm more than happy to jump on a Zoom call to answer. If you want more stuff about me, if you go to my YouTube channel, there's over 150 videos there. And there's a lot of videos there from American doctors who have done my courses as well. So you'll see all that there. So if you want more, just go and look at my YouTube channel. Good stuff.
All right. Thank you, Ashley.
All
We'll let
right.
you go back to bed, my friend.
I will. Thank you so much, everyone. Had a great time.
Yeah. Have a good night.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Have a good night,
Bye.
y'all.
Good job, Ash.
Thanks, mate.
I'm looking forward to this course. I really am. My entire
Yeah.
team. There's always room for improvement, and
Good.
getting them all on the same page is going to be helpful because
Good.
I'm sure, like I said, lots of things have changed over the last,
Oh, a
14,
lot.
15 years.
A lot's changed. Honestly, it's just moved on now.
What's funny is, I have all your CDs, and I had one of my team members convert them into MP3s, and so I'll just listen to it just kind of routinely. One of the things that you share on there, you said it tonight, was how does that sound?
Yeah.
And I love that line. I love that line because it's just such a light, nice, soft close, right?
Yeah.
You're not saying, are you ready to move forward? No, it's like, how does this sound? And it's amazing, like what comes out of the mouth after you say, how does this sound?
I'll
So
tell you a quick story, then I'm going to bed. But I did a course once in the Lake District, which is our national park here. And there was two dentists and me walking to my cars. And there was a red Lamborghini, a black my Audi, had an Audi A7, and the other dentist had a top of the range Range Rover. And Viren, he said to me, he said, Ashley, he said, look at my car, it's £150,000. He said, look at Mark's car, probably £250,000. He says, and look at the bag of shit you're driving in the middle. And can I tell you something? He said, well, he says, how does that sound paid for all 3 cars? And I drove the worst car.
no, that's good. That's good. So,
Oh,
well, yeah, hey man, thank you so much, and thank you so
take
much
care.
taking
Yeah.
us up on the opportunity to come out to the States.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. All
Cheers,
right,
mate.
we'll be